evening and welcome to the Percy Ward Candidates Meeting. I am representing the Trent Hills and District Chamber of Commerce, and we are pleased to partner with the Warkworth Community Service Club to provide you with this opportunity to hear from your candidates running for council. Thank you to the school trustees, Verna Shackleton and Shirley Patterson, for joining us for the meet and greet. If you did not get a chance to chat with them, I encourage you to do so following the meeting. I have a few voting details from Mark Montgomery, the municipal clerk and returning officer. She advises that ballots will be mailed out the week of October 6th to 10th. Ballots may be hand-delivered to the municipal office up until 8 p.m. on October 27th. Or you can mail in your ballot by Friday, October 17th for Canada Post to guarantee delivery. If you're not on the voters list or do not receive a ballot, contact the municipal office for further details. Mark is planning to be in Warkworth on Tuesday, October 14th from 10 to noon at the Warkworth Library to answer questions from the public on the voting by mail process, add names to the voters list for anyone who has recently moved or been missed, and will collect completed ballot packages for those who do not wish to mail them. It is now my pleasure to introduce our moderator for the evening, a volunteer with the Warkworth Community Service Club, Bob Sleeth.
Thank you, Camille. Thank you all for coming this evening and demonstrating your interest in listening and being informed on the issues in Percy Ward and Trent Hills and your candidates' approach to them. This session was designed by the Trent Hills and District Chamber of Commerce for the purpose of addressing the topics that impact the local residents and businesses in our community. Jeff Hamilton, president of the Trent Hills District Chamber of Commerce, was recently quoted as saying, "Our municipal council is integral to the future success of Trent Hills, and this is an opportunity to hear from each of the candidates and learn how they will respond to issues, address challenges, and identify opportunities. This is an information session, and the candidates will be providing answers to your questions that you have submitted. Because of the number of candidates, either for council representing Percy Ward or for mayor of Trent Hills, time will be limited in the amount of time allotted to their answers or the number of questions we'll have time for. A selected panel has determined the questions I'll be posing to the candidates for the purpose of avoiding duplication. Questions not put forward during the question and answer session can be put to the candidates following this meeting when the candidates will make themselves available to do so. Our session will be divided into two parts. The first half, candidates will be responding to our written questions, followed by a 10-minute break. The second half will be your opportunity to ask questions from the floor. I'll provide information on the format following the break. The format for the meeting will be, we have the candidates seating, as you can see, and I'll be introducing them in just a moment. But lots have been drawn to determine the seating of where each of the candidates are. Each candidate has been allotted 3 minutes for opening remarks. The order of questions will also be rotated. Questions and written by attendees and chosen by panel so duplication is eliminated. Answers to questions will be for the most part limited to 1 minute on the part of candidates responding to a question. The moderator will determine the time. Timekeepers will signal to the responders when 30 seconds remain and again when time is up. Now I would ask you all, if you have any electronic devices, would you turn them off now? We'll start with the first question when I have the question. Seated at the head table, as you can see, we have Barry Stowell, who is sitting there on behalf of Bill Reid, and we have Sandra Walls, Ken Tully, Chuck Mills, Ken Tully, Rick English, McMillan, Dwight White, and Jim Peeling. Yes. We'll start with the opening remarks, and I'll ask Barry Stowell, who's here on behalf of Bill Reid, to do his opening remarks.
Good evening. I'm Barry Stowell, and I'm representing Bill Reid. I have an opening statement from him, and I'll just read it. I won't be taking any questions because he isn't here, and I wouldn't know how to answer them anyway. Hello and welcome. Due to a prior commitment, I regretfully am unable to be here in attendance this evening. My name is Bill Reid. I married a hometown girl, Kathy English, and we live in the village of Warkworth and have raised a family here. I was employed by General Motors for 31 years and have been retired for 10 years. I have been a volunteer firefighter in Trent Hills for 16 years. I also assist the Fair Board with our annual agricultural fair. In the past, I have been a volunteer driver for the Northumberland Children's Aid Society. I've always been involved in the community and have a keen interest in the events going on in our town. It is time that we bring our three towns into one, which I believe has never happened since the amalgamation. If elected, I will be an honest, reliable, straightforward representative for our ward. It is time to make a fresh start. We need change, and I would like to help in doing so by being chosen as a councillor for Ward 2. Please consider me in the upcoming election. Thank you. Also, there are some brochures of his over at the end of the table. If you wish to take one, feel free.
Thank you, Barry. Our next speaker is Sandra Walls. Now, incidentally, I'll be referring to the candidates by their first name. We'll try to keep it as informal as possible. So, Sandra, you're next.
Thank you. Welcome, and thank you for coming out tonight, and thank you to our hosts. I want to take a moment to clear up an error that was printed in the local newspaper when I first declared my nomination. The article read that I had 2 daughters, and although this made for much interesting conversation during family meetings, I have been asked to clarify by my son that in fact I have a daughter and a son, and since he will be voting, I'm going to try to keep him happy. 25 years ago, we moved to Warkworth, and later moving to Grafton to be closer to my job as postmaster there. When I retired in 2010, I ran for council in Alnwick-Haldeman. When elected, I promised myself that I would remain unbiased on all issues and that I would cast my vote based on what was in the best interest of the municipality overall, regardless of how I might personally feel about the issue. And further, I promised myself that I would not form alliances and be persuaded to vote in any other way but that which I believe to be in the best interest of the residents. I am proud to say that during my term of council, I have done just that. I listen to residents, staff, and colleagues, and I make informed decisions. And even when a motion which I have brought forward is lost to the democratic process, I know that I did my best. Last year, I purchased a house back in Warkworth to be closer to my daughter, her husband, and my grandsons, and it made perfect sense to move back to Warkworth, to move to where I felt at home. During my early years here in Warkworth, I initiated the Block Parent Program, served as treasurer on the Percy Centennial Parent Council, and volunteered with the United Church Women. I now serve as a proud member of the Warkworth Community Service Club and have been asked to serve as treasurer for the 2014 Lilac Committee, as well as a board member for the Northumberland Community Counseling Centre. So although I may not have been born and raised here, I belong here for all the right reasons. And because I hope that someday my great-grandchildren will want to live here as well, I want to be part of making Trent Hills an even better place to live. Trent Hills, being incorporated in 2001, is in fact a business, and on one hand it should be run like a business in that a budget must be determined and followed, Annual audits must be done and published, and the residents or shareholders must be given full accessibility to that information. And on the other hand, it should be run more like a not-for-profit business, in that we are in the business of providing services for the residents. We are, in fact, in the people business. The job here is a careful balance of what the people need, what they want, what they're willing to pay for, and what the social values are. I believe in providing residents with all the facts. Decision of council will not always be a popular one, but when residents know why a decision is made, the resident can at least be accepted, or the decision can at least be accepted. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra.
Excuse me,
Good timing.
excuse me, can they stand up, because people in the back can't see their faces, it'd be nice.
Are you people all comfortable standing up when you're making your announcement?
We'd have to go up there.
The mics won't reach.
Well, right, that's right, yeah.
We go up there. We can go up.
You want to come up here and use this mic? That's fine, sure. Okay, Chuck, you're next.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The 2014 municipal elections about the future Trent Hills and Warkworth Percy will have a large part in this. Council is responsible to find ways to fund existing or new projects, to work with all levels of government so as to have minimal impact on our taxes, to work to increase the tax base in our community by attracting small industries located here in Trent Hills, to curb spending and still deliver the services we all enjoy. Since moving to Warkworth 37 years ago, I've been actively involved in the community. I'm Trent Hills Community Policing Community Service Club, 15 years on the rodeo committee, co-chair along with wife Pat at the Canada Day celebrations in Warkworth. I was instrumental in starting minor baseball here in Warkworth, and been in minor hockey for many years as a coach, referee, and executive. I'm a past Kinsman member and then the Legion. I have good understanding of council operations and their obligations. I'm a good listener and I respect your concerns. I work as a good team member to achieve a goal, and local business, farming, service clubs, minor sports, and the many festivals all deserve a strong voice on council. I want to ensure heritage and growth meet all municipal guidelines. You know, Ward 2 Percy is a great place to live and raise a family, and I want to keep it that way. Taxes, you know, they're a necessary evil, but I will do my best to keep them at the lowest rates possible for the services received. Water and service charge, they should be less, and I'll make sure council continues to lobby the provincial government to enact the recommendation number 84 of the Walker Inquiry, because Trent Hills has met all the regulatory obligations for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Ken?
Good evening and thanks for attending the Mayor's Candidates Meeting for Percy Warkworth Ward 2. I would like to thank the Service Club of Warkworth and the Trent Hills and District Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event. I would like to start off by giving some of my background information. I was born in Cabot Township in what was then part of the United Counties of Northumberland and Durham. My father was a road superintendent for 40 years. Growing up, I had a chance to see firsthand the operations of the roads department. At that time, old wooden bridges were being replaced with concrete ones, and concession roads were being widened and upgraded. After high school in Peterborough, I completed a tool and die apprenticeship at General Motors. After General Motors, I worked for Purity Packaging in Peterborough, first as a service technician, installing dairy equipment in dairies across North America, and then sales. Beatrice Foods Ideal Dairy, Oshawa, a customer of Purity's, offered me a position as plant manager. The timing of this offer was perfect, as I had opened a small business, Tully's Ice Cream Parlor in Oshawa, and would no longer be traveling away from family, home, and our business. At Beatrice Oshawa, I became general manager, responsible for production, sales, and distribution. I then held the same position at Beatrice Foods in Brampton. In September 1996, I started at World's Finest Shopping as production manager. In 2000, I became general manager, retiring as president and managing director in January of 2013. During my working career, I've always been involved with my community. past president, current ambassador, and treasurer of the Trent Valley Shrine Club that supports the Shriners Hospital for Children in Canada, past president of the Campbellwood Rotary Club and current secretary, served on the Trent Hills Economic Development Committee, volunteer for the 2014 International Flying Match, Relay for Life supporter and participant. I have always had an interest in local government, but never held a job that allowed me the time to participate. Now that I am retired, I have the time and dedication to be a councillor. If elected to council, I would draw from my skills and life experiences, along with voter input to guide me. As a business person with bottom line responsibilities, I would work to keep the municipality viable by fiscally responsible spending that does not place a burden on the taxpayers. I look forward to the opportunity to represent this great community. If elected, I will work as a team member to achieve community goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Rick?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. First of all, for all of you that don't know me, my name is Rick English. I have been born and raised in Warkworth, and I've lived here all my life. I've been married to my lovely wife, Robin, for 34 years, and have 3 terrific children, Daryl, Lindsay, and Kelly. I am also very fortunate to have 4 adorable grandchildren, Mila, Colson, Ryland, and Everly. I am currently retired from Northumberland County, having worked 36 years serving the Northumberland County taxpayers. The last 15 years, I was manager of road operations in the Department of Transportation and Waste. I was a certified road supervisor with a senior designation and served as president for the Association of Ontario's Road Supervisors. I attended Northumberland County on a regular basis and assisted in preparing reports and budgets for the County Roads Department. For 25 years, I've been a dedicated volunteer firefighter for the Warkworth Station, and 15 years as assistant station commander. I've also served as coach on the executive for the Percy Minor Hockey Association. Why am I running for council to serve you? I want to be part of a team to make decisions that are financially sustainable, economically viable, and creative for our municipality. These next 2 points I want to really stress to you. I want to be a strong voice and stand up and be heard to serve you, my constituents, to the very best of my ability. Communication, public relations, and strong interpersonal skills are of the utmost importance to me. As a manager of Northumberland County Roads operation, I was the one that received the road complaints from residents along the county. Now, some of these complaints on the phone were not always pleasant. Some of them were rather loud, rude, and almost intimidating. However, people love to see a live, warm body, a live voice, and someone that will listen. You know, 9 times out of 10, once you explain the road operations, why you're spending money on what you're doing, why you're plowing his road or her road second, not first, people had an explanation, they were fine. Communications and common sense are 2 very good qualities of mine. I'd like to increase the road's hardtop budget gradually each year. I'd also like to be actively involved in all planning, finance, and capital expenditure decisions within our municipality. With the years of experience with Northumberland County, you can rely on my vast knowledge of municipal policies, procedures, procurement, bylaws, and tendering process. I will not sit up here and promise you lower taxes, but I will thrive to keep an increase to a cost of living. With rising OPP costs, hydro insurance rates, fuel costs, I realize how tough that is. In closing, may I just say to you, it is so important to have a functional council and not a dysfunctional council. We must all work together to achieve our goals and work with our various associations, volunteer groups that we have in this wonderful municipality. This is where I've lived my entire life. I care, and I will be that strong voice for you representing Ward 2. I would consider it an honor and simply a privilege to represent you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Jack, you're next.
Excellent.
Well, thanks very much. Let's get organized here. Okay, well, good evening, everyone, and thank you all for attending. Have you noticed that every election we endure, we hear the same old buzzwords? Taxes are too high, water and sewer costs are too high, we can do better, and it's time for a change. And then there are some things being said this year that are just absolutely and outrageously untrue. Municipal staff has increased dramatically. Taxes are the highest in the province, and the municipal debt has spiraled out of control. For 5 generations, my family's been proud to serve Trent Hills residents. And for the past 3 generations, we've been honored to serve you in your municipal government. The one thing you can always count on when asking a question is that you will hear the truth. Sometimes it might be an answer that's not popular. And sometimes it may be an answer that you just didn't want to hear, but it's always the truth. McMillans don't lie, and we have nothing to gain by doing so. Credibility is everything. And when being sworn in by the clerk, the mayor swears to uphold the law. A few facts for you, and I brought with me tonight official municipal documents to prove that. There are 131 municipalities in Ontario with taxes higher than Trent Hills. Our tax rates are in the middle of the 7 municipalities in Northumberland County, yet we have the largest geographical area, the most roads and bridges in the county. Municipal office staff is down 6 by amalgamation. The total staff is down by an additional 6 since 2011. The province sets the municipal debt limits of a municipality at 25% of the receivables, and we are at only 7%. The current council has only borrowed $49,000 in 4 years. We have had 11 years of council harmony, and I can only recall one 4-3 vote. 99% of the time it's unanimous, which means everyone has done their homework. With all the challenges facing Trent Hills, I am the only candidate who has identified them for you and has a plan and the experience to face them head on. I've been leading the way to deliver what you told me you wanted in 2003, 2006, and 2010. And together we have achieved much. There has been more infrastructure, economic development, recreational and cultural improvements in the last 11 years than in the decades preceding it, with more on the horizon. Although others are touting some wonderful concepts, these are already in place, and you heard them all first in my previous 2 booklets that I sent you in 2003 and in 2010. You don't have to look far away to see what happens when you have a dysfunctional council and you can expect 4 years of disaster. Is this a change you really want to risk? The mayor's job is never done. It's a full-time, 7 days a week job to ensure the safety, security, and socio-economic sustainability of our municipality, to allow our community to dream and help make those dreams become reality. Thanks very much. I really look forward to your questions.
Excellent timing, Mac, you just made it. Dwight, you're next.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out and showing the interest in this political process. I've spoken about my background and qualifications in the past, and they are laid out in my campaign literature. But now, I'd like to talk about leadership. This election is about leadership and the direction that the next mayor will guide our municipality over the next 4 years. Will it be a new style of leadership, one that is progressive and inspiring, or will it be more of the same old, same old? High taxes, crushing debt, out of control spending, and an absence of a broader vision. A leader must have vision and values and look towards the future. Leadership is about serving the people while guiding the municipality forward for the common good. A strong leader must have a social conscience. Leadership is making sure that living in Trent Hills is affordable for everyone. A strong, progressive leader will inspire trust. The trust of council and the staff with which he works, the trust of politicians and bureaucrats with whom he will interact, and, most importantly, the trust of the people that he serves. Leadership is about accountability and sound fiscal management. All capital projects and expenditures must be closely scrutinized. When anomalies and huge discrepancies between estimates and actual costs appear, we have to say stop and ask, how did this happen? Where is the accountability? A good leader would seek viable answers before proceeding to commit millions of taxpayers' dollars and go further into debt on any project. Leadership and management go hand in hand. Leadership is ensuring that first the needs of the municipality are taken care of while addressing the aspirations of the people. There are dreams and there are goals. A goal is simply a dream with a comprehensive plan that is within the bounds of affordability. A leader directs the municipality in a way that makes it more cohesive and coherent by engaging by engaging counsel with citizens groups, service clubs, and the business community. Leadership is responding to and showing consideration for the wishes and concerns of the people. The mayor is the face of the municipality, both inside and outside of our boundaries. The image, actions, and deportment of the mayor is a direct reflection on the people of Trent Hills. I will lead Trent Hills with respect, honesty, integrity, and decorum. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwight. Our next speaker is Jim.
Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming out tonight. Your presence here demonstrates how much you care about your community. And hopefully you will be a little bit more hospitable tonight than the last time I was here in this Legion, because the last time I was here, I got my butt kicked playing euchre. As far as my message goes, tonight, just wind me up, because I'm preaching the same issue. Going throughout the village and the township, you, the taxpayers, are focused, our taxes are too high, we must get a lid on spending. Well, I agree 100%, but it won't be easy. It's like walking a tightrope between supplying the services you, the taxpayers, require and the ability to pay for it. There has never been a greater demand for your services and your tax dollars. And to that end, we must promote what we have, and that Trent Hills is a great place to live. To this end, a lid on spending is a must, with council establishing the priorities you want implemented. It seems to me that we have the cart ahead of the horse. An example of what I object to is the tender being awarded to the Hastings campus and the soccer dome, while here in Warkworth, the local changes to the Warkworth arena have not even been quantified yet. In my mind, it is quite possible that when the Flores campaign reaches its goal, and both the provincial and federal governments are asked to pony up their budget at $11 million, they may say no. The costing of the Hastings campus portion of the project, that means we could be on the hook for the entire dome cost of $4 million, not just the budget at $1.3 million. The mayor will probably slough this off, saying it won't happen, just like it didn't happen on the Hastings water plant. This election is all about sound, forward thinking to establish leadership, control taxes, and implement priority spending. And one of the things that we need to realize, our population base is predominantly over the age of 60, so our retirement community needs must be enhanced. Housing focus should finally deal with construction of appropriate housing, affordable, yes, but sufficient for our more affluent taxpayers to want to remain residents. Further, we are a bedroom community, and that angle needs to be promoted. Yes, we're 17 miles from the 401, but it's only 20 minutes. The vision of our lifestyle should be front and center. If elected mayor, one of my top priorities would be to sit down with real estate agents and developers to engage construction of housing condominiums similar to Island Park. And again, this election is all about sound forward thinking, and we must establish the leadership and control taxes and implement the spending benchmarks. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, did I steal something?
Thank you, Jim. We're now going to enter this part of the program where we're going to be asking the questions that you've submitted. And I will start by reading out these questions to you, and I will start with Sandra, and anybody else that wants to respond to these questions may do so. Given that the cost of maintenance and operation of the water sewer plants is high and borne by the users of the system, what recommendations would you support to help alleviate these costs? Do you want to come up and? I don't know. Yes. Okay, yes. Would you come?
Okay.
It takes less time. The thing is space speeded, it takes less time. We'll
Okay.
get more questions.
All right, yep.
Okay, so basically the question is there any relief for the water sewer rates? And currently we have a user pay system, and although the rates are high, and I do believe, but I do not believe that our rural residents should be subsidizing these rates for our urban areas in any way, shape, or form. And I think that was a lot of discussion around what people were calling some of the terms such as well tax. I no more believe that than I believe that the urban residents should be supporting costs and maintenance of wells and septic systems for rural neighbors. So with that having been said, our current council, I know, sits, and they have written to the Premier requesting that Justice O'Connor's recommendation number 84 of the Walkerton Inquiry that should be enacted on behalf of Trent Hills, and that would provide government assistance to lower the cost per household to a reasonable level that people can afford. I agree that rates are too high and that council should continue to advocate on behalf of the residents.
Thank you, Sandra. Chuck?
I guess I just say, I'm one of the ones that lives in town, so I know it's pretty high. But there's not much we can do. It's users pay, you know, and we gotta just keep lobbying the government, the provincial government, to enact that recommendation 84 of the Walker Inquiry. It's about all we can do, really. It's just keep them lower. Thank you.
Ken?
Yes, when you purchase a piece of property, if it's rural, you know you're going to have a well, septic, and all the things that go along with living in the country. If you purchase a piece of property in the city, you know you're going to be on city services, you're going to get water, you're going to get sewer. If the hydrant goes off, you'll maintain water pressure. Also, you will have fire protection on the street because of fire hydrants. I believe that the people on water and sewer, we should do everything as council to find a way to reduce those rates, but not blur the lines between urban and rural living.
Thank you, Ken. Rick?
Yeah, I agree as well. We need to continue to lobby the government. However, I do not support rural citizens paying for town water whatsoever. I built a house and I was without water for 8 months, and I'd have gladly paid a fee per month to have water. Supporting a family of 5 is very, very difficult. So I know it's high, but Ken alluded to as well, being on the fire department, you also had fire hydrants as well. I don't know if that affects your insurance rates or not, but anyway, I just say just keep on lobbying. Thank you. Yep.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
It's just unfortunate. This has all become because of the Walkerton tragedy. It's very unfortunate this has happened, but you know, today we're safe. Our water is safe. Everybody's healthy. So you know, kudos to what Trent Hills has done so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Heck?
Well, I am vehemently opposed to applying urban center water and sewer costs across the tax levy. And even though others running in this election this year have stated they would like to put the excess capacity, that's the capacity of the plants that's currently not being used on the levy, I will not, I can't go along with that either. I think it's immoral. I have written to the Premier and the Minister of Finance asking for recommendation number 84 to be enacted. It hasn't been enacted on behalf of any municipality in Ontario yet. And currently, that is our best hope. We've done everything absolutely possible to streamline the efficiencies of all of our systems. We have blended all of the rates, which was good for some and not so good for others. Our water and sewer rates are high, but we did the right thing at the right time because now other municipalities are surpassing us.
Mike?
Yes, I think that's a serious issue. First of all, I'd like to put an end to a rumor that's been going around that I support taxing wells and septic systems or transferring any of the taxes over to the rural residents. I absolutely oppose transferring any costs to the rural residents or taxing wells and septics in any form. After all, I live on a well and a septic, and I'll be damned if anybody's going to come and tax my well and septic. And the other issues, On the other issues, I agree. We've got to keep lobbying the government, and it's really a tough question. We just have to keep moving forward, keep thinking, and keep working hard, and hopefully we can come across something to alleviate some of the pressure. Thank you.
Jim?
There's one advantage to being over at this end of the table. Everybody gets to speak before you, and you can concur with everything that they've said, 1,000%. Bill 84 should be enacted pursuant to the Walkerton mandate, and I think it was Rick who said, keep on lobbying. That's all you can do, all right? The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question is for council candidates, and we'll start with you, Rick. The question is, have you seen the condition of the roof of the picnic shelter? All the ballparks. What steps would you take to make sure the municipality's assets would be kept in proper repair?
Am I ever glad to get that question asked? I've been around that place all summer long, and it is deplorable. I just can't believe it. If I was in council, I'd be all over Mr. McMillan on that one. All it needs is a gallon of paint. That's all it needs. And some shingles. That's the end of it. And I couldn't agree more. Whoever wrote that question, thank you, thank you. That's all I got to say.
Ken, would you like to respond to that?
Yes, I appreciate this being brought to the attention of potential council members, and I'm sure that if on council, situation like this, that the roof in the ballpark would be addressed and looked after. If you're having these facilities for people to use, then we need to maintain them to a certain standard. Thank you.
Chuck?
I agree with everything Rick said over there, because I was down there every night this summer, and it was the same. I just looked for some people, we're going to go ahead and just do it, but have to get permission first, so I always make it get done, so that's all I can say.
Sandra?
That's an interesting question, the repair of the picnic shelter roof at the ballpark. For one thing, I think there's an asset management plan in place, which should be identifying such assets that the Trent Hills municipality owns, and it would in fact identify when these items needed repair and or replacement. Having said that, I think a letter to council would be something that I would recommend. But the truth is, you have two reps here, and your council reps should be contacted, and they would be happy to bring those items forward on your behalf. I will say, as an example, there was a playground issue in Grafton. I ended up painting it myself because I couldn't get relief, and I was on the council. So some things you just have to take upon yourself and do as a committee or group. But I would recommend that information be brought forward through your council reps that currently exist, and make sure they follow up at council. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. This next question is directed to Heck. And the question is, why are you planning to spend $4,300,000 to fix the water tower in the Campbellford and well water users in Warkworth have to pay for it in their water bills?
Sorry, I'm not sure I got that quite right. I don't think I understood that.
What's the issue with it, Heck?
I'm not so sure. I didn't understand the question.
So, why are you planning to spend $4,300,000 to fix the water tower in Campbellford, and will water users in Warkworth have to pay for it in their water bills?
Well, we haven't even seen a report come to council yet to spend $4.3 million on the water tower. That the environmental assessment isn't to that point where it's going to be, or has been presented to council. So that's the first part. Secondly, this community, along with Hastings, you wanted your water and sewer rates combined with Campbellford. And you may recall, we said to each and every person that attended those meetings, that means that whatever happens in any of the three urban centers, that invoice, that bill, that cost gets spread across all three urban centers. Everyone knew that, and everyone wanted that, and now here we are. Now, there hasn't been a financing plan put in to address it because as I said, council hasn't even addressed the water tower yet. So I think that we'll look at that when we get to that.
Thank you. Would the other mayor candidates like to respond to that question?
Yes, I think I'm just going to agree with Mr. McMillan on this. We haven't seen all of the numbers. We don't know exactly what's going to take place, so I think it's impossible to make any comments or decisions at this time.
Jim, would you like to respond to it?
Well, again, I'm at the disadvantage of speaking last because it's already been said, and Mr. McMillan has all the necessary information. But I will say this, if you read my brochures and stuff, the water tower in Campbellford is one of my, in fact, it is my top priority. And I guess that's all I can say at this time.
Thank you. Would any of the councillors like to respond to that question? Rick, would you like to respond?
I can't, you want that? You want
Yes. Yes, if you want to, yes.
I'm sleeping here, sorry. Yeah, totally. You'd have to get at the, as Hector said, I don't think they even received a bloody staff report yet on it. So I think if somebody's putting the cart before the wheel here. But as Hector has alluded to, this was everybody who was in agreement with this. These are going to be all blended rates now. So I don't know. Actually, I don't really understand the question that well. So thank you.
Ken, would you like to respond to it?
This is a subject which just heard about tonight, and since all the information isn't in to base a good decision on how the money is going to be spent, that's about all I can say on it this time.
Chuck, would you like to respond?
I can't make a decision on it because I haven't heard too much about it except just tonight.
Sandra?
Well, this time I get to speak last, so I concur with everything that they have all said, all the good points only. And I would like to add that, of course, now that the subject has been brought to the attention of everybody in this room, I can't imagine that the issue would not be given a lot of attention when the final reports come in. And please stay on the websites, ask your council reps, talk to the staff and find out what the reports say and what the decisions are.
Thank you, Sandra. The next question is directed to the mayor candidates. And there are three parts to the question. What is the salary of a councillor? What is the salary of the mayor? Do you get more money if you are on committees? Jim, you can go first on this one.
The only thing I can say to you is I'm not running, okay, for mayor because of the money. I have to plead the fifth. Okay, in regards to what the actual figures are, I understand that the mayor's base salary is somewhere between 30 and 35,000. It'd just be a pure guess that the councillor probably makes maybe close to 20. And as far as attendance of the meetings, I'd have to plead the fifth. Okay, I'm going to have to defer to the mayor because he's the one getting paid at the moment.
Dwight, would you like to respond?
Well, to tell you the truth, I have not even looked into these figures, so I really don't know exactly what any of the positions pay, or if there's bonuses for meetings, or anything else like that. So, to tell you the truth, I don't know, and perhaps the mayor can answer that because he should be in a position to do so. Thank you.
Heck, would you like to respond to it?
No. Honestly, the mayor's salary is about 30,000. I think it's just over 30,000. Councillors, I believe, are around 14, right? 14. And no, you don't get any extra money for meetings.
Thank you, Heck. The next question is, I would like to know what the current debt is for Trent Hills and your ideas for stabilizing this debt, as well as the debt load per tax-paid citizen, Trent Hills. This one is directed to all the candidates for mayor.
Who's going first?
Dwight, would you like to go?
Well, sure, I'll start. These figures are taken from the financial information returns off the Ontario government's website. Each municipality has to file a financial statement with the Ontario government every year, which is pretty comprehensive. And the question, I guess, is dealing with one line of those statements, and that is the long-term debt of the municipality. The latest figures, I think, are from 2012 that we are able to get off the Ontario website. And at that time, it was pushing $16 million. We have added to that debt since, and I believe we are in the range of $18 million at this time. We pay close to $600,000 of taxpayers' money, your dollars, in interest only to service that debt.
Heck?
Hello? We'll start yeah, I think Dwight's numbers are fairly accurate, but there's always much more to the story. There was $9 million that was spent by the council, the amalgamating council, before I even started, and they just never got finished within their term to venture it. About 70% of our debt is in the water and sewer systems, which was mandated by the province to meet the regulations, hence from the Warkworth tragedy. And there was no choice, it was you shall. Now, we did receive a number of grants to do that. However, with the debt we have, you have to remember that the bulk of that was leveraged with grants. And in most cases, it was a minimum of 2/3. With the debt we have, we've leveraged in excess of $40 million in municipal construction. The council, not currently here in place today, but the council previous, decided during the economic downturn we would do no more construction without grants, and that has stood during this current council as well.
Thank you, Heck. The next question is directed to the councillor candidates, and the question is, name 2 ideas that you would like to implement if you were elected to council.
What about Jim?
I'm sorry.
Jim never.
I'm sorry, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Jim, sorry about that.
I don't know how you do it, to be honest with you. Very simply is, okay, I think that the facts and figures was kind of a little bit of a surprise that the mayor kind of concurred, okay, with the figures, okay, that Mr. Boyd mentioned. My angle on it right now is that we've got to come up with a plan of attack for priority spending to still provide services and yet try to, spend the $600,000 a year and diminish the debt as best we can. And one of the best ways to do that is to increase the number of taxpayers that we have. So we need to promote the community, promote tourism, to have an influx of people come in here to widen the tax base. And that way we can lessen the burden on each and every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Again, this question is directed to the councillors. And the question is, name 2 new ideas that you would like to implement if you are elected to council. And we'll start with you, Ken.
Thank you. If elected, I know what you consider a new idea, but I think it's time, after we've been amalgamated since 2001, to do a complete service review and see what is being offered to the residents of Trent Hills, what the cost of those services are, and take a look at which is normal business practice, to maybe there's things we should stop doing or things we should do, or maybe we're not doing things that the residents of Trent Hills would want us to do. So I think a comprehensive service review would be the first one. And the second one, again from the outside, I'm not sure what goes on inside, but it comes from a manufacturing background. And you always look at ways of implementing continuous improvement processes throughout, whether it's on the roads or in the office, but you look at ways of doing things better this year than you did last year, and you want to be better next year than you were this year. So those are 2 thoughts that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. And we'll go to you now, Rick.
Okay. A couple things that I would like to see done. Of course, I'm a roads guy. Trent Hills currently has a very aggressive hardtop program in place right now. They do a wonderful job. However, I would just like to increase that. And I'm not saying every gravel road covered or anything like that. It would be at 3, 4, 5 clicks per year. I would like to try to increase it. I drove a lot of kilometers in this campaign, and I've seen and I've heard people. One other thing I would like is possibly a little better communication with the people, you out there, with council. I've heard that as well. And not only that, with office staff as well. So those are 2 little things. It's nothing major, but it's something that I have heard from the public. Thank you.
Sandra? No, I'll go to Chuck.
Me? 2 ideas. They're not new by any means. One is the continued support of our farming and agricultural industry and economic development and tourism. As far as farming, I think council must support the agricultural industry by careful and long-term planning for land use and development with consideration for our prime agricultural land. It must be protected and maintained, and we must be good and responsible stewards of our land. Council should and continue to work with the Ontario Federation of Agriculture and our local farming community to sustain and grow this industry and act as an advocate and liaison for the government. I would like us to see us continue working with the Warkworth Business Association in support and promotion of the Downtown Revitalization Plan Phase 3 and the sustaining of the sense of pride within the village. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Chuck?
We need some small industry here in Trent Hills. Got kids that usually go to high school, they just take off to Toronto and see the bright lights, but they got nothing to come back to. You know, then they could, if some of them could stay here and raise families, they don't have to be big industries, you know, and then, you know, for fill up the empty stores we got in all 3 communities. We got a lot of empty stores and stuff, you know, and that would enhance the stores we got in here now. You know, and then we'd have better tax bases too, so. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Chuck. The next question is directed specifically to Dwight Boyd. Are you in favor of ATVs having access to the roadways?
No. For the same reason, you know, my position on those hasn't changed from the last time ATV clubs wanted access to our roads. And we presented to the council of the day a wide variety of reasons why they shouldn't be. And safety and liability were high on that list of concerns, amongst disruption of the lifestyle and the deterioration of the property values of properties that were on the roads that were sought after to have access. So my position hasn't changed. I think that the council was wise, and it was a unanimous decision last time with one councillor absent. The council beforehand turned down a similar request with a unanimous decision, and my position on that would be to lobby for a unanimous decision to say no to a bylaw allowing ATVs on our roads.
Thank you. Jim, would you like to respond to that?
My message is going to be the same as it was in Hastings the other night. Under certain circumstances, be it a life-saving venture, I would put the ATV in the same category as a snow machine. All right, on the rural roads, but inside the municipal centers of the three wards, okay, Warkworth, Hastings, and Campbellford, the answer would be no.
Thank you. Heck, would you like to respond to it?
Well, the information that's been given is correct, but I understand from other municipalities that all of the horror stories we said that would happen are not happening. And what was being proposed was a 1-year trial. And I guess we'll never know because we never gave it that 1-year trial. There's more to understand about the ATV bylaw. It wasn't just a bylaw to allow ATVs onto the roads, it was a bylaw to control ATVs no matter where they were. And driver training, licensing, safe driving. There was a lot more to it than just allowing ATVs on a select few roads. And it was a unanimous vote at the time to turn down because there wasn't enough information, in particular on one road, which was the trail portion that went through Hastings. So I guess, you know, at the time, those that didn't want it, they got their way, and there wasn't just enough people out there saying that they did want it, and the majority rules.
Thank you, Heck. Would any of the councillor candidates like to respond to this? Sandra?
So this is based on my experience as currently on council with Owen McCollman, as well as my having talked to lots of people on the campaign trail. I am in favor of at least looking at the bylaw to support the permitted use of ATVs on Trent Hills roadways in conjunction with the Highway Traffic Act. I'm not talking about urban centers or downtown Warkworth or downtown Campbellford. It needs to have a common sense approach, setting reasonable guidelines, which you would do through the bylaw. The Northumberland District and ATV, they certainly have an excellent group, and they manage it with education, information, and safety. Such things would be in the bylaw would be insurance, helmets, one riders, etc. I feel ATV has no greater responsibility and liability of snowmobilers. And our neighboring municipalities, count them 38 on this list, they support it and they manage just fine. As well, we are holding up our neighbors. I talked to one lady who had to go out of town.
Thank you, Sandra. Chuck, would you like to respond to it?
I think we should have a trial run at allowing ATVs. You know, I think you get better control by the police, and most of the people are, 99% of them are sensible people, and you're always going to get idiots, because you can just look in the wintertime, the snowmobiles, they're not controlled, but look at the guys who went down the center of the canal, Calford last year. You know where they're going to be? They're going to be down at the dam and the locks there somewhere. They're dead for sure. So, you know, you can control them a lot better if they stay the trails, and the clubs, they look after their own, they get rid of them people. So I'm in favor of having a trial of it. Thank you.
Thanks, Chuck. Ken, would you like to respond?
Sandra said a lot of interesting points, and as did Hector, that we are a community that is kind of an island. Everybody else around us has ATVs. They also seem to have been able to address an insurance issue that has arisen because they are insured. If there was a reasonable proposal put together with public input and consultation, then I would be interested in looking at something again with a one-year trial period, because if they put it in place and it doesn't work, then we don't want to be stuck with it forever. If it does work and turns out to be beneficial to our community, then I think that would be a good idea.
Thank you, Ken. Rick?
I feel like Jim Peeling now, down this end. A lot of good points were just brought across, certainly. The highway traffic gap is a big thing. I agree with ATVs, as long as they're controlled and with the proper route on it as well. But you need a lot of public consultation as well. You're going to get some opposition. It's very unfortunate that they didn't have the one-year trial prior to, but I'm certainly in agreement with having a one-year trial. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Next question. And the question is specifically addressed to Ken Tully, but all of you will have the opportunity to respond to it. What do you see as a viable economic plan over the next 4 years that will be beneficial to the taxpayers of Trent Hills? Please be specific.
All right, I just have my Excel spreadsheet here with the plan in place. We're all set to roll. Actually, I think it's somewhat to be simplified for that question. Is you have the amount of dollars you spend, you have the amount of tax dollars coming in, and it's not unlike your household. I think we have to be very careful that we do not spend more money than we are bringing in, because with our current debt load at 7%, while we're allowed to go to 25%, I'm not in favor of increasing our debt load unless it's due to a health emergency or water or anything like that. But I believe, again, we have to watch our dollars and not overspend to what we're bringing in.
Thank you, Ken. Rick, would you like to respond?
I haven't got my 5-year strategic plan in front of me either. Yeah, economic development's huge. One thing I would like to do if elected, I'd like to work closely with the Warkworth Business Association here. They're a fantastic group. We do need to have more people come into our community, get a bigger tax base. Now, what I've heard on my campaign trail is this wellness center. I have had quite a few young families say to me they want that center badly. Why do we have to go swimming in Covert? Why do we have to go swimming in Trent? People want it. People say build it, they will come. That's what I have heard. I'm just telling you what I've heard out there. One person I didn't agree with, build it, we'll pay for it later. I didn't quite agree with that. But I think that's a real positive, as long as, of course, we get this funding. I think it's very important, and we need the youth in here and keep them here. Thank you.
Heck, would you like to respond to that?
Well, Rick, I do have the municipal and county strategic plans here in front of me. And, you know, what we're talking a lot about debt and about stabilizing our debt. Our debt is stable. The plans, the financing plans for the recreational centers is already in place. And the wellness and recreational centers, when we do get around to finally having an agreement with the Fair Board in Campbellford, if the public doesn't want to proceed with the plan that they brought to us, you know, these plans came from you. These weren't council initiatives. And the facility here, the plan for the center here in Warkworth came even after those two. That was a last minute request from this community. If the support isn't there for these recreational centers, then we may end up just fixing up the arena and building a small aquatic center. But if people truly want these centers, then they need to be there and tell us.
Thank you, Heck. Dwight?
Well, in response to the question in terms of a long-term economic plan, yes, certainly. What we need to do is attract more business to this municipality. Now, that's in business and industry is a difficult thing to bring up here because we are not on a major transportation corridor. However, to attract the business, first thing we must decide is what kind of business do we want to attract. We have to identify the types of businesses and then go out and court them. We have to take a proactive approach towards this, not a reactive approach. For example, the ideal industry in our industrial park would be someone that occupies maybe 12 to 20,000 square feet, employs 10, 12, 18 employees, is a clean industry, light manufacturing, and doesn't rely on daily trucks coming in and out. Perhaps the raw materials in at the first of the week, finished product at the end of the week. These businesses are out there, we need to identify them and then go and court them.
Thank you, Dwight. Jim?
Economic growth in Trent Hills. All possibilities for job creation must be explored. 40 years ago when I was on council, I honestly believed that we would have some form, okay, of an industry to offset the loss of the Campbellford Woolen Mill. It still hasn't happened, all right? So what we need to do is, there can't be any stones left unturned about trying to go out there, and as Dwight said about the service industry, I think is one of the things that we need to promote. We need to really get back on, we need to take a good hard look at tourism. We need to get back to selling this place the way Elliott Lake sold their place, all right? This is the jewel in the province of Ontario that nobody knows about, and it needs to change, and we have to put our best foot forward and get the people to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Sandra, would you like to respond?
Sure. So viable economic plan for our Trent Hills and our Ward 2 specifically, because I'm your rep. We have been presented with an amazing opportunity to work with the Ontario Agri-Food Centre in Colborne, and they support local farming and encourage new farming opportunities throughout the county. Also, I think that the new council should take a fresh look at the strategic plan that's in place currently, review and revise as necessary, and make sure that we're headed in the direction that we want to go. We need a balanced budget, we need to build reserves, we need to streamline costs where possible, but that again is your choice on what you want, what you don't want, and how much you want to pay for what you're going to get. Throughout the county, shared services are being encouraged, and lots of money can be saved on that just by procurement. I think that the comprehensive service delivery plan that has already been directed for staff to take on for the 2015 budget will be a great start. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Chuck?
Okay, we need some more small industry, like I said before, and fill up the stores around here. That would help us a lot. And then for tourism, you know, we're just basically right now, all the tourism is summer tourism. We'd have to get people working together so we could have it for the winter time too, and make it year round. And lost where I was here. Okay, so you know, we got to be curb our spending and curb our spending, but we're still providing the necessary services. So if we can get all these industries and stuff coming in, we're going to have a higher tax base, and then we're going to keep our taxes down. So that's about it.
Thank you, Chuck. This next question will be the last one of this part of the program. And this one is directed specifically at the mayor candidates. And the question is, I'd like to know what the current deficit debt is for Trent Hills and your ideas for stabilizing this debt, as well as the debt load for tax-paying citizens in Trent Hills. And
We've had that.
again, this one is directed at the mayors. Why do we need Wellness and Flourish Center when we already have one at 66 Front Street South? There are 3 employees earning $100,000 a year now and more to come. How is this sustainable in a 1% economy? And we'll start with you, Jack.
First of all, I don't think that's an appropriate question. I don't know how that got past the panel. Secondly, it's not even rational. I don't see the connection between what people make for a wage, what the connection of that is to our wellness and recreation centers, if I understand the question correctly.
Dwight, would you like to respond to it?
Well, this is a very unusual night. This is the second time I'm going to agree with Mr. McMillan. I think the question is inappropriate and it shouldn't have gotten past the panel.
Jim, do you feel the same way?
100%, yes.
That is the end of our questions in this first section. We'll have a 10-minute break and we'll come back, and the next part of the program will be questions from the floor. Is your opportunity to ask your questions from the floor. If you would like to ask a question, step up to the microphone, and there's a lineup forming there now, so I'd ask you to join that lineup if you would like to ask a question. I would ask you to limit your question to 30 seconds. We didn't get all of the questions in, obviously, in the first half of the program. If there are questions that were left that you would like answers on, the candidates will be available after the session today. And if you will just go and talk to them, you'll be able to ask that question at that time. So we'll get on. Yeah. As you come to the microphone, please identify yourself. All right, we'll start with the first lady in line.
My name is Betty and I'm from Trent Hills. This question is to Mr. McMillan. At previous all candidates meetings, both your opponents have stated their desire to perform another bridge study and to look at that again, and to look at all avenues to spread the municipality's water, sewer debt over the entire tax levy, including taxpayers on their own private rural wells, septic systems. What is your position on both these issues?
Well, I guess first of all, the bridge study is a done thing. No. Three councils have approved it. A previous Trent Hills Council, the current Trent Hills Council, Northumberland County Council has approved it, and several engineering firms have recommended it. That many people just can't be wrong. Nobody has ever said that it was the perfect solution, but that it was only the best solution of the only two viable options. As far as the water and sewer, I am adamantly opposed to spreading any of the water and sewer debt over the general tax levy. And I too heard that the excess capacity, which is the difference between what's currently being used and what the plants are capable of handling, I've heard that as well from other candidates, and I am opposed to that as well.
Thank you, Hank. Would anybody else like to respond to that question? Right?
Yeah, thanks, Bob. That's an interesting question, and I think much of it was answered in the previous session with the radios. In terms of another bridge study, I have never, ever said, under any circumstances, in any place, have I made the statement that I would revisit the bridge. The bridge now is behind us. It has gone through municipal council, it's gone through county council, and it is now in the hands of the Ontario government. At this point, I have no desire to revisit the bridge issue. In terms of the well tax, I mean, I think I stated it before, I live on a well and septic, and I'm diametrically opposed to any tax increase that would look at that to be added to covering the cost of the sewage and water treatment plant. So I think my position is very clear on that. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to respond to that? Jim, go ahead.
The only thing that I want to add to is that in reference to my comment about revisiting the bridge, I want to revisit the money, all right? That's the part that just blows me away, the amount of money that wasn't up front. I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but originally back in April, it was $28 million for one, the new bridge, $26 million for the old one. Months later, it was down to 17 and 15 million. Where did that $11 million go? All right, somewhere along the line, we're on the hook for it. Thank you.
Would any of the councillors like to respond? Sandra?
With respect to the water sewer part of the question, I agree with both Dwight and Hector, so I won't reiterate that. With regards to the Camelford Bridge, The bridge is an emotional issue and there will be no unanimous resolution, but with that said, there are many subsequent decisions still to be made surrounding the bridge, and I commit to being part of those decisions based on what is in the best interest of this community overall, now and in the future. Prior to construction ever beginning, there will be a final detailed design and obtaining of all necessary permits and approvals, as well as a review of all comments submitted within the public review period of the environmental study. It'll take probably another 10 years before the bridge is completed, but meanwhile, the original bridge needs to be looked at as its life cycle is ending as well. I would like to work towards healing the neighbors who have been parted by this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Any of the other councillors like to respond?
I oppose the well tax too. And as far as the bridge, personally I'm not in favor where it's going to go, but it's out of our hands and I'm not going to initiate any opening any more discussions on it. Thank you.
Next up, Jim?
Also on going record as not being in favor of water and sewer being spread over the rest of the municipality. Urban should be a user-pay system, and rural is you pay your own costs. As far as the bridge construction, it's going through a process now, and we'll see where that process takes us.
Rick, would you like to comment?
Yeah, I think the water and sewer thing is I would like to not talk about it anymore. The bridge is a very unfortunate situation. It is. I like the words that Sandra used, healing the people that it is going to affect. And I hope I'm on council to do that because I believe they need a very fair deal out of this. It's a very unfortunate situation, and I hope I'm there to help them out. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Next question, please.
My name is Betty and I'm from Trent Hills. References have been made to affluent people coming to Trent Hills and retiring, but I'm more concerned about the other end of the economic scale. There are 3 food banks in this community, in this municipality. We have a growing number of clients. We have a lot of people who come to us for food who are also living in inadequate housing. And my question to the mayor candidates is, do you have any plan for assisting these people who are in need?
Who would like to respond to that first? Jim, would you like to
We
respond?
spend food money on $400 a month rent, more than $400 a month rent. In another community, they pay $2,000 a year rent, and that's money that's given to the food bank for the food. The other community pays, in the area of that, a little bit less than Warkworth and a little bit less than Campbellford.
Thank you. Rick, Jim, would you like to respond to it?
First of all, okay, to me, this question's a little bit for left field and it was unexpected. The only thing I can honestly and truthfully say to you is that, you know, being involved with the food bank, okay, with the hockey team and always promoting, okay, food drives and stuff, I am aware of it. But the particulars, okay, that it's referenced to by Betty, all right, all I can say to you right now is I would have to look into it. I certainly wouldn't turn my back on anybody in need in any way, shape, or form. And if there's anything at all that could be done from the municipal level of government, I would see that it got done. Thank you.
Pay our rent.
Would anybody else like to respond to it? Dwight? Thank you, Betty.
Yeah, Betty, thank you for this, and I think that that's a real serious concern in the municipality. It's okay for those of us, for the people who can afford to live here, who can afford to pay their taxes, pay high rents, mortgages, etc. But we have way too many young families, young people in this municipality that are living on the edge. If they're paying rents, the rents reflect the tax base. So we cannot raise taxes to the landlords who would simply transfer that over to the tenants. As far as paying the food bank, paying your rent, Betty, I would certainly take a look at that because it can't be a very huge figure in the overall scheme of things. And I think that it would be the decent thing to do and a help in a little way. And let's get it started because I have great sympathy for those who are in need.
Thank you, Dwight. Anybody else like to respond to this?
Yeah, sure. I've sat on the Northumberland County Social Services Committees and been warden twice, and I supported the original Food for All warehouse in Northumberland County. In fact, I was one of the drivers behind it. and especially the second one when we purchased the research building from the old craft plant to create the current food for all warehouse. And last year as warden, we created the 10-year homelessness plan throughout Northumberland County. So I'm well aware of many of the needs that are in Northumberland County, and I would fully support looking at trying to find either another solution or a better alternative. I've never been asked before to help out with the rent costs that you're facing, but I would absolutely work with you. And our big concern right now is the working poor, and that they're slowly getting pushed over the edge, and they're going to be driven into the lower sector.
Thank you, Hick. Any of the councillors like to respond? Sandra?
I just would like to add that it's a tough issue to address, because it certainly is not a budget issue in that it's not a money thing, it's a moral thing. I think we're all in agreement of supporting whatever way that we can and what opportunities are available to support not only the food bank, but another thought or idea may be developing community gardens within our urban areas to help those who are in need, at least fresh fruits and vegetables. I also, part of my economic development thoughts was consider developing downsized affordable housing within the urban areas to encourage and help out residents to stay in their community as long as possible, and thus eventually they help the local businesses in supporting the businesses along the main streets as well. Thank you.
Anybody else like to respond? Rick?
I really can't respond because not knowing what council, if the food bank has ever been approached council, so I really don't have a good feel on what to say. Sorry.
And?
Also somewhat not very familiar with this. I think council, and I don't know how it can currently support food banks, but I know as a manufacturer we used to supply food to the food banks. Also, I'm not sure what we can do, but inadequate housing or creating more housing for people in needs in Trent Hills, but certainly would be on our radar if I was on council.
Thank you. Chuck?
Yeah, I'd like to see the council be able to help out with the food bank for the rent and stuff, and just like Ken said, with affordable housing would help a long ways. Thank you.
Next questioner.
Yes, my name is Bev Roy and I'm from Trent Hills. I have an issue with this is for the three candidates for mayor, by the way. I'd like answers from all three of them. We talk about grants, we talk about reserves, we talk about the county, and when we ask questions about, okay, this is our taxes, don't worry, the county's paying for it, don't worry, the federal government's giving us a grant, don't worry, we're getting money from here. The last time I checked, I paid taxes to every level of government. So I don't care whether it's
Thank you. Time is up.
Okay. So I didn't get to ask my question.
Who are you directing the question to?
The three candidates.
Okay.
So,
would you like to start?
So where do we think this money's coming from? Because we're all paying these taxes. I don't care which door it's coming through. So I'd like an answer, please.
Okay, I'll take a shot at it. I think I understand. You pay taxes to all levels of government. Yes, we do. And I have never said don't worry about it because another level of government is going to pay for it. However, the other levels of government have X amount of dollars that they're going to give away to either through the provinces or from the province directly to the municipalities. Somebody's going to get it. And I want to be at the head of the line to get our fair share, as long as we can afford to come up with our portion to fund the entire project. That money's going somewhere. It might just as well be in Trent Hills.
Thank you, Heck. Dwight, would you like to?
Yeah, that's a good question. And we all pay taxes. A portion of our municipal taxes here go to the county levy, and I think it's around a third of our taxes go to the county. So to suggest that because something is a county project and doesn't cost us, it most certainly does.
Thank you.
The grant programs that the two levels of government put forth, we don't have to jump in and grab it now, because if you look back over the years, when they cease one grant program, another one starts up. So if it's an infrastructure stimulus by the feds, they've canceled it, they will come up with another program. So we don't have to start a project which is going to cost us money simply to put our hand in the cookie jar because the lid is off.
Thank you, Dwight. Jim?
We gotta get a lid on the spending, that's for sure. We need to lobby the other two levels of government, provincial and federal, to get, as the mayor alludes to, our fair share. And yet, we turn right around and we award the soccer dome to a company for $4 million, $1 million over budget. And there's nothing etched in stone, because we've got the cart ahead of the horse by going ahead with this, that the provincial and the federal government are going to pony up, okay? As I said earlier when I made my address for a speech, right now we're on the hook for the $4 million, all right? And we're only supposed to be paying 1.3. It'll be up to the province and the federal government to pony up, and we've overstepped that bounds, and that is disrespect for the tax dollars.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Would any of the councillors like to respond to that question? Okay, next question, please.
I would like everyone to respond to this question. How would you assist in completing the Pisces Park?
Excuse me, your name, please.
Oh, sorry. I'm Sky Morrison, and I'm a resident of Trent Hills. How would you assist in completing the Pisces Park project, a major grassroots tourist monument in Trent Hills?
Who would like to start with that? Jim, would you like to start?
Thank you. I guess the first thing, Sky, what I would have to do is I would have to sit down with all the players. I'm out on the outside looking in, don't have all the particulars, all right? But there must be some kind of a guideline, okay, as to the program that's in place now. Following up on that, all right, I would endeavor, okay, to see it through to its completion, all right? If that means a few more shekels, okay, it means a few more shekels, all right? But the bottom line is, I need to get on board with the program, all right? And all I can say to you is, and a teacher once told me, if you want to be successful in this life, you have to listen, understand, and remember. I got to listen, I'm going to try to understand, and when it comes time to help you, I'll remember. Thank you.
Dwight?
Well, that's a good question, Sky, and I'm really not privy to where we're at with Pisces Park right now, other than I can say that I fully support it. I think it's a good thing for Hastings, and I think it will draw tourism as it grows. We have a world-renowned artist that is contributing his artwork to Pisces Park. When it comes to things like funding, I don't know whether the municipality will kick in direct dollars. However, the municipality can help with things like fundraising and supporting fundraising efforts. If you're putting on a festival, it would be incumbent on the municipality, for example, to supply the picnic tables and other small, seemingly small support gestures like that to assist the people who are spearheading the Pisces Park project to complete their project in the best time frame possible.
Heck?
Now, having been part of the World Fishing Network contest that helped to make Hastings Canada's ultimate fishing town, this is a project that's near and dear to me too. Council already bought the land and cleaned up the trailer park that was previously on it, where the park is now located. Council has already designated to the Hastings Pisces Park Committee the land for the park. When it comes to fundraising, Council is not in the business of raising funds. However, Council is in the business of supporting all of our community organizations so that they can raise funds, whether it's through events, whether it's the supply of equipment, manpower for waste cleanup, tables, chairs, all sorts of things. And personally, whenever requested, I've worked at every community event in Trent Hills, and it's usually behind the barbecue, or maybe playing music, or it's something, but I absolutely support the Hastings Pisces Park.
Rick?
I'm going to have to apologize to you. I do not know anything about the Pisces Park project at all, so I think it'd be very irresponsible for me to even comment on it.
Rick? I'm sorry. Ted?
Yes, I understand the Pisces project. I've seen the fish in the parade. I think it's a great asset and would benefit to Hastings. I'm just not sure how we can work to pull the dollars together to make it happen, but certainly I would hope that we could find a funding formula with fundraisers or something to make it happen, because I definitely like the vision and like what we do at the Village of Hastings and would like to see it completed. I just can't tell you how we can do it financially at this point. Thank you.
Chuck?
Yeah, I support the park over there. It's kind of neat seeing them fish. But I just not up to speed on how much needs to be completed on it. So, and I'd be willing to help, get fundraising, help them get fundraising or funds to complete it. So.
Sandra?
Well, basically, anything that promotes tourism, specifically in Hastings, I'm on board with. And I would be willing to listen to and work with Bob Cray, obviously your representative for the next term, and as well as the committee to do what you tell us that you need council to support you to do. We have to listen, we have to learn more about it and be more at the table with all the numbers and figures. But there's a committee and it would be sort of the committee's responsible to tell us how we could help you. And I can't imagine that all council wouldn't be willing to do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next questioner. The person behind this next questioner will be the last part of this session.
My name is Misha from Trent Hills. My question is for Mr. Boyd and Mr. Bailey. Mr. McMahon is welcome to answer as well. Mr. Boyd and Mr. Bailey, through your brochures, reading your brochures and listening to the meetings, you were saying that the taxes are skyrocketing and out of control. It's the out of control the problem is, because I would like to know specifically what you mean by that. What did the current council do wrong, ignore, was not competent to handling, or screwed up? And what would you do to fix it? Thank you.
Okay. Who wants to start? Dwight, you want to start?
Sure, I'll start on that. What I mean by skyrocketing out of control, and I'm going to give you a fairly recent example right here. And with the Dome project, the field house at Hastings, the original estimates came in at one number, the tenders came in almost a couple of $1 million higher. The project was cut down in scope to try and save some money and still came in way beyond the initial estimates. Rather than going ahead and committing this municipality to millions of dollars in spending in debt, I would have said, stop. We need to get some answers because the discrepancies are just way too large. And if you run a municipality like you run a business, you are going to want to get those answers before you commit to spending all of that money. And it's those kinds of actions that I think are putting our spending out of control.
Okay.
Jim.
Okay.
My question was, why are the taxes out of control, as you said?
I'll respond to that.
Heck, will you respond to it, please?
The question was to Mr. Boyd and Mr. Feeling, and then I was asked to comment if I cared to.
Okay. Very simply, when you have an abundance of projects the taxpayer wants, the services you require, you have to be responsible and transparent in your actions to you, the taxpayer, in regards to spending that money. Where the taxes are out of control, all right, is we have a flourish campaign and it's $33 million if it all comes to fruition. The bottom line is, it is all being based on the fact that we have a population of 30,000. The hospital, okay, services 30,000 people, all right? Our recreation facilities right now, there's only 12,000 people to foot the bill, and yet we're building something, all right, for 30,000 people. We just need to get the focus and get it lined up, okay, to what you want. That's why it's out of control.
Heck, would you like to comment?
I'm going to have to now. Our property taxes are in the middle of Northumberland County. That's where we budget for. We pay our staff at the 50th percentile, including the CAO. We tax at the 50th percentile, and yet we deliver more services than some of the other municipalities. And we've got more roads and bridges. Our tax is high, you bet. However, they're a lot higher somewhere else for other places for the services that we deliver, which is why I'm going to, if elected, take you through a municipal service delivery review, and we're going to reach out to each and every one of you, explain to you what we do, and ask you what you want us to do differently. The field house in Hastings, the original estimate was done on a preliminary design. The community did not accept that design, and a secondary design was done, and then it was priced out. It's apples to onions, and this was explained at the Hastings meeting as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Would any of the councillors like to respond? No. Next question will be our last question from the floor.
Now, this is a question for Mr. McMillan. It's just a factual.
Your name, please?
Daisy Perry, and I'm in Warkworth.
Can you come to the microphone?
Now I can. Yes, it's a question for Hector. A simple factual one. You've said a number of times there are 130 communities in, I believe, in Ontario with tax rates higher than ours. How many are lower? And do you have a list of them with their populations? Not for right now, but could you get me one?
I have. Well,
go ahead.
I have that information with me, and there's about 300, just over 300 municipalities that are lower. Most are major urban centers that have vast populations, where in rural Ontario, specifically in eastern Ontario, it costs 5 times as much to do any road work or any major infrastructure because of the lack of population and the lack of properties. And much of our land is either crown land or managed forests, which is not taxable at all. Major urban centers don't have that problem. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, roughly. Could I get a list eventually?
Sure. Even the city of Belleville is higher than us. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I understand there's somebody that has a problem getting up to the microphone, and whoever that person is, would you like to come up forward and present your question?
Hi, my name is Connie Bronstein. I live part-time in Warkworth. The rest of the time I live in Florida, unfortunately. My younger son has a place in Collingwood. Now, once upon a time when he had his first place there, Collingwood was just a winter place. It had nothing to do with summer. And today, it's a flourishing, all year-round place. It's incredible. I can't see why it can't be done here.
Thank you. Who would like to start with an answer to that question? Jim, we'll start with you.
Yeah, very simply is on the brochure, I say that we got to promote the municipality of Trent Hills. We're all in this thing together. Hastings has the ultimate fishing town. Warkworth has their arts people, okay, and Campbellford, I guess, is maybe the business core. Very simply is we need to promote this the same way that Elliott Lake promotes. The town of Campbellford. Years ago, when I was on council, I made the statement that the town of Campbellford was a nice place to live. The only difference 44 years later is now that statement is the municipality of Trent Hills is a great place to live. All right, and it needs to be promoted, every aspect of it. No boundaries, okay, when it comes to tourism, and that's what needs to be done.
Dwight, would you like to respond?
Yes, I would. To make Trent Hills grow, first of all, we have to decide what our strong suits are. What do we have to offer people to come here and spend their money. And I think one of the strongest things that we have to promote is we sell lifestyle. For those who wish to live here full-time, we sell tranquility, peaceful, and absolutely spectacular countryside, and needless to say, some of the nicest people in the world. To encourage people to visit, encourage tourism, we need to promote our art centers, and we need to encourage healthy tourism. And I'm going to go to bicycle tourism, which is growing rapidly throughout the province. And in fact, Trent Hills is part of the Northumberland County Bicycle Trails program. Bicycle tourism brings money into town, they'll stay at B&Bs, and that's the type of tourism that we need to promote to grow our town, our municipality, slowly.
Hank, would you like to comment? Okay, we're coming down to talk about economic development again, and there's absolutely no silver bullet to solve economic development issues, and every municipality has its own strengths and weaknesses. Our tourism is contracted out through the Trent Hills Chamber of Commerce, and I think they do a pretty good job of promoting Trent Hills, as well as our efforts through Chambers Northumberland and the Economic Development Department and Tourism Department at Northumberland County. Currently, we have a problem of a growth plan where the province has stymied growth in rural Ontario, and it's getting more and more difficult to even build a house in Trent Hills as it is anywhere within the area of the Places to Grow Act. We have constructed over 625 new homes in the last 11 years. We are part of the recycling plan. That was one of the programs I worked on as warden. And again, we talk about economic development, and yet we kick the ATV issue right out the door on the seat of its pants.
Thank you, Hank. Would any of the councillors like to respond? Ken?
I would just like to say that we've been living up here for 17 years and working at World's Finest. We work with the Chamber of Commerce when they're out into Toronto and the wine and cheese and different functions to promote tourism. So what I have seen is the activities in Campbellford, Hastings, and Warkworth have really increased a lot in the last 17 years. We're still a bit of a hidden jewel from Toronto. I do believe when the completion of the 407 is in, we will be an hour and a half or 2 hours away from downtown Toronto. And I think I'd like to see our tourism grow. I'd like to see the efforts we're doing to stay up. And I do think that as we bring in more tourists, that hopefully some of those people will land and maybe even make some small businesses with them. But I think we have done a great job in the time I've been here. I'd like to see that focus on promoting tourism carry on. Thank you.
Sandra, would you like to comment?
Yes, I agree with all that has been said. Obviously, we need to focus on tourism and promotion of what we have here, our lifestyle. And with that said, obviously we need a formal plan, and that comes out of your economic development and developing and implementing your tourist ideas. So we need to continue to work with the Chamber of Commerce, and we have a valuable resource at the County of Northumberland. They have a tourism department there, economic development, and we need to focus and utilize that. We pay taxes to the county, we need to use those resources. But, you know, I'm all in favor. I don't think there's anything wrong with borrowing a great plan from anybody. So, if Collingwood or any other place has some ideas or expansions where they're doing something unique and different that's bringing in the people, I say we give them a call and ask to borrow their plan. Most places are happy to lend all the stuff that they're doing really well because they're proud of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Chuck, would you like to respond?
I think we should just promote and more promote of the area. It's a great place to live, and people come here and they stay. 90% of you people here in the room have all came here. There's a few locals who were born here. There's a lot of people that weren't born here and came here and stayed here and really enjoyed it. So that's what we got to do, just promote it more. Thank you.
Rick?
Well, I think promote has been said quite a few times here tonight. I really think the Chamber does do a fantastic job. Being a recent Facebook follower, I get all their posts all the time, maybe too many sometimes, Nancy, but anyway, they do a great job. I know Northumberland County does a fantastic job of tourism. They have a staff, I think it was 3 when I left, and they certainly promote too. And I think working in conjunction with them is a huge, huge thing. Thank you.
Thank you. The next part of our program is the 2 minutes that is allotted to each candidate to sum up what has happened tonight. And we're going to start with you, Jim.
Thank you. You, the constituents of Warkworth and Percy, have a choice to make. Let's suppose you will not be voting for the incumbent because it is indeed time for a change. This means you must choose between Dwight Boyd or myself when voting for mayor. I have nothing personal against Mr. Boyd other than his Johnny-come-lately entry into the race for mayor. I believe in the words of one of his supporters when she stated the voters of Warkworth don't want another mayor from Campbellford as being the reasoning for his mid-campaign switch. If that is correct, this municipality is doomed, and it is until it is no longer Warkworth versus Campbellford or Hastings and vice versa. This is very important, Warkworth. In the words of one of your prominent Warkworth community leaders, until it becomes a oneness between the three wards, Trent Hills will continue to tread water and not reach its potential of being the jewel of Ontario no one knows about. We cannot afford another 4 years of Hector McMillan as mayor, so be careful that a vote for Mr. Boyd is indeed a vote to maintain the status quo, debt, and misguided leadership. This is Trent Hills, not RR3 Mississauga. Spend the money you have and wait until the projected 30,000 show up before taking any more money from my fixed income. My name is Jim Peeling, and I solicit your support on October 27th. Thank you.
Right, your next up.
Well, Jim, I want to assure you that I do not take your comments personally. This is a political campaign. Initially, when I spoke in my opening address, I talked about leadership, and most of the other candidates told you about their background. So on my closing remarks, I think I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background and why I feel that I'm qualified to be mayor of Trent Hills. A little background. First of all, I've lived here since 1975. I've met my wife and raised my family here. I have been an independent businessman in this community for over 30 years, 29 years in my present location in Campbellford. I have moved my hobby to a full-time business of restoration of antique and historic wooden boats and building of new wooden boats. I have been an employer for all of those 29 years. I have grown my business from 3,000 square feet to its current 9,000 square feet, and I have expanded it internationally. My clientele spans North America. I have been responsible for all aspects of operating a business and a company. This includes day-to-day operations on the floor, client relations, ad and promo, and all financial matters. And you must run a business in a very tight-ship manner or you don't stay in business for more than 30 years. I have also sat on the boards of directors of the Antique and Classic Boat Society as well as the Canadian Canoe Museum, and I presently sit on the board of the Thousand Islands Antique Boat Museum Canadian Trust. Put that on a letterhead. This experience in business affairs and working with boards in particular is very similar to working with councils. It has taught me how to gain consensus and how to lead with cooperation and cooperation and leadership to achieve our goals. I have the background, I have the knowledge, and I have the experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwight. Next.
Well, you know, not everything is as it seems. I guess everybody's entitled to their opinion. But I demand honesty. Oh, well, just an update on picnic shelter. It doesn't belong to the municipality. I understand it belongs to the Agricultural Society. And our staff has never received a request to repair. This is one community. Trent Hills is one community. And as Marion Jones left tonight, he asked me to remind you that at our council, we view Trent Hills as one community. And I've said this to you many times before. Our resources are applied to where the needs are, and this is one community. Mr. Peeling doesn't understand the bridge numbers. Talks about $11 million disappeared. Those of you, including Mr. Boyd, who attended the meetings, know that this fact is not true. There's never been an economic development department in Northumberland County until I drove it my first year in 2004 on county council. I was raised in a municipal environment. Contrary to what Mr. Boyd says that he has the same qualifications that I did when I started. My grandfather was on council for 25 years. My father passed away in the third year of his third term as mayor. Municipal administration has been in my blood for, well, probably longer than I even knew it. And I've now been mayor for 11 years. There's nobody up here yet, except me, who has identified the issues that we face in the next 4 years. Not one word of the issues. And we face some serious issues, including the new provincial budget and how we're going to handle it, and how we're going to afford it. I am the only one here that has that experience to lead council through the next 4 years with what we face, and I really would love your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Chick. Rick?
Yeah, just in closing, I would like to thank everyone for coming out here this evening. I would also like to thank Nancy and the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this candidates night. I've been campaigning on the road for approximately 25 days and have personally handed out over 800 brochures to everyone I've met. So as you can see, I'm taking this position as councillor very serious. As I have met each individual, I've asked, what would you like changed in our municipality, and do you have any concerns or problems with our municipality? You know, the vast majority of the taxpayer in Ward 2 is very happy with the way things are being run and with the services provided. Yes, I did hear, taxes are high. Communication from the municipality is concerned, water bills, and road complaints. These concerns were justified as I personally saw and heard these concerns. If elected, I truly believe that the municipality of Trent Hills should be run as a business. You are our clients, and we must serve, look after you, and think of you to the best of our abilities. As previously mentioned, the municipal world has been in my life and is my passion. I am very familiar with taxpayers' concerns, and you need to be dealt with respect. You should be able to voice your concerns, and you need a good ear that will listen to you. I know that I am that good ear that you can come to and you can depend on. On October 27th, please vote for me. As previously mentioned, it would be an honor and a privilege to serve you. I thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Ken?
Tonight, I'm asking for your support to be elected as councillor of Ward 2, Percy, Warkworth. For 30 years in business, I was responsible for the bottom line results. I will use that experience to manage your tax dollars. After more than 10 years of amalgamation, it is time to take a serious look at the services being provided. Is Trent Hills providing the services the residents require at an affordable price? Ward 2 is a very diversified ward. It is a mix of urban and rural properties, living and working together in harmony. Warkworth has a very active community service club, having a very positive and meaningful impact on the community. Warkworth and surrounding areas are home to many artisans. Minor sports are also part of the community fabric. Warkworth has at least 11 major events planned annually to make it a destination for visitors. We must not overlook farming and its impact on the ward. Farming, whether it's cash crop, beef, dairy, hog, grain storage, alpacas, buffaloes, or Christmas trees, creates employment. These operators may hire anywhere from 1 to 10 employees full or part-time, making a significant contribution to our economy. While aggressively pursuing new business to the area, we must not neglect our current ones. One in the hand is worth two in the bush. Trent Hills will have challenges the next 4 years. I prefer to call them opportunities to be managed. As councillors, we will need to look at these opportunities, some of which are already on the radar screen. Dome in Hastings, new accessible hall addition to the Warkworth Arena, paint and or replace the water tower in Campbellford, expansion of the water treatment facility in Campbellford, the MRF, and a continuous road improvements program. It is necessary to prioritize and deal with them in a responsible way. In closing, as your councillor, I will be fiscally responsible, respectful, and have sincere, caring dialogue with all your electors. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Chuck?
I'd like to thank you all for coming tonight. And my commitment to you, I'll work toward making Trent Hills a functional, livable, and most of all, an affordable community for everyone. I'll commit to doing my best to present the best rationale for particular courses of action to my colleagues in the hope of persuading a favorable reaction. I'll be accessible to you, the voter, and listen to your concerns. My job as your counselor will be to look after the best interests of the constituents of Ward 2 Percy, but keep in mind what is the best for the greater good of Trent Hills. The vote for me will give you the Ward 2 taxpayer, representation, accountability, and a voice for the entire community. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Sandra?
Again, thank you for coming out tonight, and thank you to our hosts. Each of us here tonight is asking for your vote in order to serve as your representative at the council table for Trent Hills. But I remind you that I bring experience to the council chambers, a proven record for 4 years of dedication and commitment to council meetings, to land division meetings, police service boards, an emergency management committee, community hall committees, public works committee, heritage committee, 2 parade committees, and 2 successful playground fundraising committees. Although my roots are here, my reach is county-wide in that I bring experience having worked with committee members and staff from across your county. Shelter of Hopes, Joint Animal Control Board, and the Crime Stoppers are just to name a couple. I bring no personal agenda to the council chambers. I have no axe to grind, and I have a clear understanding of what it takes to be an effective member of your council. I am not a fence setter, but am a councillor who will make timely decisions with consideration from all. I will listen first, decide second, and implement. I will follow up on issues, follow through on promises, and speak up on your behalf. Experience brings knowing when to speak up and when to shut up, knowing when issues are worth fighting for and when it's time to walk away. If asked why I included a family photo on the back of my campaign pamphlet, my answer is this: because it's important for you to see the faces of the people who support me through my campaign. During my term of council, those who are my greatest joy, my most honest critics, and who on the toughest days remind me why I ever wanted to do this in the first place. They are the people who also make a dedication to the next 4 years, as family time sometimes will be sacrificed in order for me to fulfill my duties to my community. But even with that, I ask you for your vote, and in return, I promise to do my best for the municipality of Trent Hills and represent Ward 2 with pride. And I'm so relieved that 2 of us candidates didn't decide to wear the same thing this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Barry Stowell on behalf of Bill Reed.
Yeah. In my closing statement, I would like to start by saying that I think the present council has done good work on their past endeavors, but I think that some of the current projects are too ambitious for the present population and tax base. I'm all for keeping up with infrastructure, but we also need to recognize our financial capabilities. I feel it is time for a change, along with new blood. We need to come together as one community. This should not be a good old boys club. We need change and fresh new ideas for the future of our great community. If elected, I will work hard on your behalf to make wise and educated decisions with your tax dollars in mind. I would kindly respect your trust, and I would appreciate your vote on election day. Thank you, and thank you all for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you all for coming and your questions, and the candidates for the answers that provided to you. I would now ask Martin Hare, the president of the Warkworth Community Service Club, to come up here and close this session.
Thank you, Bob. I had a little note here to also thank the attendees and the candidates. And I think we should give the candidates a big hand right now once again. I'd rather be standing here than sitting there. This is easier. I'd also like to thank the Trent Hills Chamber of Commerce for participating with us this evening. It was a pleasure working with them. And I offer a special thanks to the Warkworth Legion for permitting us to use their hall. And in closing, just a final reminder that the Trent Hills Chamber is hosting a mayoral debate on Thursday, October the 16th at Campbellford High School. It's good to have qualified help. That's been changed to October the 14th at the, what is it? Oh, sorry, at the Campbellford High School. Thanks again for coming and have a safe trip home.